Welcome to Mastering the Art of Real Estate. I'm your host, Debbi DiMaggio. We are here today with my very good friend and childhood friend, Greg Woehrle. Welcome, Greg.
Hello. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thanks.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much for coming today. I had a guest, first time ever, who canceled, and I called Greg, and he rose to the occasion. And that's what a good real estate agent does and friend. So I really thank you for jumping in today at the last minute.
You're welcome. That's what we do. We support each other. There's no competition. There's just collaboration here. Here to help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's properly introduce my friend Greg, licensed real estate broker, principal developer, general contractor in Lafayette, California. Greg brings over 30 years of experience as a licensed real estate broker, developer, and builder in the Bay Area. His real estate career launched with the acquisition of the historic Kaiser Estate in Piedmont, Montclair, which led to founding Select Real Estate in the early 1990s, his first brokerage specializing in luxury homes. Since then, Greg has remained deeply involved in development, design, and sale of high-end custom homes across Lafayette, Orinda, Alamo, Walnut Creek, and Piedmont. He is the founder and driving force behind Woehrle Development and Woehrle and Sons Builders, as well as the creator of Lucas Ranch Gallery, the physical home of Woehrle Real Estate and Development, and the Early Diagnosis Foundation. His expertise spans land acquisition, SB9 lot splits, subdivision processing, permitting, and custom home construction, making him one of the most well-rounded professionals in the Bay Area luxury market. A longtime Lafayette resident and community leader, Greg has raised his 6 children. I just can never imagine, in
Yeah.
a Happy
I,
Valley
I can't
neighbor.
either.
I always get stumped there in the Happy Valley
Yeah. Don't
neighborhood,
ask me. Don't ask me their names.
embracing and contributing to the La Marinda lifestyle. Alongside his wife, Marty, and daughter, Samantha, the Worleys from the first multi-generational real estate and development team in Lafayette. I'm going to skip some of it. It's long. Beyond real estate, Greg has
Yeah.
dedicated decades to community service, volunteering through his church, coaching youth sports, and mentoring future leaders in both business and life. Thank you so much again, Greg, and welcome to Mastering the Art of Real Estate. So, Greg and I
Yeah.
met,
Thank you.
not like most of us, I've met most people along the road or just meeting them for the first time on my podcast. Greg and I met. Now, when I say this, he was a young boy. I remember Greg being
Very
in a
young.
little red, white, and blue Speedo because we were on the
Yes.
Piedmont swim team together.
Yes, we were. And you were always much taller than I was, so I was afraid. All
Oh
the
my
girls
God.
were taller than me. Yeah.
Well, that's how I remember Greg. And we reconnected not long ago. And now both of our children, Chase works for us, and your daughter Sam is working for you. And tell me, let's start there for a moment. How is that having your daughter work for you now as a young adult herself?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for that very nice introduction. I didn't know I did all that. This is great to hear all that
I
stuff.
know,
Makes
right?
me feel like maybe I know what I'm talking about. But you
Absolutely.
know, I'll tell you, there's nothing like a family business, the family connection. Just knowing that your family's got your back, knowing you can kind of say and do anything to them, and they'll still get your back, has kind of been really special. And to be able to teach somebody in the family about real estate and development, and contracting, and just all the nuances of life that real estate is really its own life, really.
Right.
It's just been really fun to do that and rewarding because these are all the things that she's got to do. She's only 28. Well, she's turning 28 tomorrow. And she's got to learn how to survive in any market and buy her own house and do all these different things that we all do and take for granted daily in real estate, whether it's turning a screw for a doorknob or whether it's building a whole house from the ground up. She's been involved since she was a baby, just watching and learning. And so she kind of gets a lot of the real estate language already when she started a few years ago. About 3 years ago is when she started, right about when COVID hit and she came out of college, couldn't find a job. We rebranded the brokerage and we
Nice.
provided a position for my daughter. And I decided, if you want to be a really good real estate agent, you're going to have to learn how to do everything. And that's kind of what we do, is A to Z. And so she's been learning everything from like I said, contracting, subdividing,
Wow.
renovations, ready to sell, just everything that it really takes to be a well-rounded agent. And so she's lucky to be involved in one of the what I call one of the first multi-licensed brokerages in this area that actually can do contracting, engineering, and real estate brokerage. And so it's given her a lot of avenues in to not only just what real estate is all about, but the nuts and bolts behind it. So
Absolutely.
that's been beautiful. It's been great. And
I
my
know.
wife is also working with us. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you, she's raised all those 6 kids, and she's been hearing and living and breathing real estate, whether she wants to or not, for the last 30 years almost. So
Yeah.
it's really nice. So thank you for
It,
asking about that. It's been really
yes.
rewarding, just as I'm sure yours is too, with your son.
Absolutely. It's wonderful. And the kids, whether they like it or not, they, as they're born, they're just immersed into real estate because it's with us, like it's a life of its own and it's with us at all times. And our clients are with us at all times, whether we're traveling or not. And so the kids, I think that's what's so nice about it is having Chase work with us is he already knows things. I don't have to explain things. He understands that we have to step up. He understands that you don't say no. You always have to, pivot and turn and make
Yes.
whatever happen. And so they have that in them because they've seen us moving and doing and never saying no and always picking up the phone and always tending to our clients. So that's what makes it so nice is that there is of course teaching the nuts and bolts like you said, but they do have that personality. They get it. So I love that. So
Yes.
there's so much to unpack with you because you have so many
Yes.
great stories. So we only have an hour. So first of all, I
Yeah.
want to know
Yes.
you do after college. Where did you go to college if you went to college, and then
Yeah.
how and when did you get in real estate, and what led you into real estate?
Sure, sure. Well, I actually went to college at the University of the Pacific in Stockton, majored in business and minored in public administration. So I was actually, what got me involved in real estate was really growing up in the Piedmont area. And I remember, I don't know if I can say this or not, but I kind of lived on the other side of the tracks, or what we call the tracks in Piedmont. And that means the lower area for me. And so I used to go, in swim team and visit all these wonderful homes up in these incredible areas. And I just fell in love with just the way that other people's homes looked. And so
Uh,
I always had an idea that one day, hey, I'm going to live in a home like this. And I
uh,
think that's what early inspired it. And then when I was in college, I was in a fraternity and I was working at Gold's Gym. And I decided working at Gold's Gym wasn't doing me much justice. So I decided, hey, I'm going to listen to a seminar. So I listened to a seminar, I think by Carlton Sheets. And then I also listened to a real estate seminar or a mentor, Tony Robbins. And I put the two together, just what their nuggets were. And I decided, hey, what if I bought a little house out here next to my fraternity, created what they call like a live out now, and made it so that all of my water polo players and all of my sororities friends and my fraternity brothers could live in homes that I also lived in college. So I started looking for the biggest 5 bedroom, 6 bedroom house in Stockton, California. Big $60,000 investment, and my mom became my first real estate partner, and
uh,
we bought a small place and renovated it a little bit and rented it out to fraternity brothers and water polo players. And I was like, wow, I got 5 bedrooms. I'm making my rent. I'm paying nothing. And I think I can do this again. So I did it with a sorority and another sorority. And then I just
wow.
kept going from there. So that's how I kind of got into the business.
I
Didn't
am
have a
so
license at that time.
impressed. Wow. I am so well, you were the what is it called? The blanking on the name. You were the investor. You put it together. That is you were the owner. You weren't a realtor, but you were
Yeah,
the owner of the property. You were buying property. That is so impressive. How
yeah.
old were you?
I was about 21 years old, or 21 years old. So I did start early. And I'll tell you, I did start with the lawn aerating business in Stockton. So I was out aerating lawns at first, and I was knocking on doors, and I was learning that, how to hear no thousands of times. And so
Wow.
one day is kind of a fun story. I'll tell it real quick. I
Yeah.
knocked on, I go, okay, so I want to go to the big homes because they got the big lawns. So I'm going to make bigger money. So I went and knocked on this door. And after 30 minutes, it was one of the hardest sells I ever did. But I finally got this guy at this mansion to let me go out in his pristine, beautiful, manicured lawn and poke holes in it. So he said, if anybody can figure out how to let you poke holes in my beautiful manicured lawn, uh, I guess you could sell anything. And I said, well, I'm working at it. I'm trying to get a house like yours. And he says, well, you know what?
Oh,
I just so happen to be the owner of the Bank of Stockton. And when you get ready and you need something and you have a need for a home, you come see me. And that's exactly what I did. And I've used that resource. And so it's kind of a fun story. And it's kind of just goes to show you, you never know what's going to come out of anything. Here I was landscaping, and the
absolutely.
next day I'm running houses for fraternities and sororities.
And I always call that you were open to the opportunity. Some people are kind of closed off, but you have that mindset that I do is just being open to what's possible. You just never know when you wake up each day what's going to happen. Just go out there and just look for it and be open to it. So that is such a great story. I
Exactly.
love that. Oh my God,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
never take no for an
No,
answer. And I think that's what happened is I think I sat on that guy's lawn for so long. He finally said, just do it. I'm tired of listening to you. so, so anyway, yeah, never take no for an answer. And then, once you do get something like that, then you got to perform. Now that's where it
right.
was. I was like, when I was standing on that lawn, I was like, oh no, oh crap, what if I screw it up? And so, uh, so you know what? I'll tell you a secret. So what I did real quick is I made sure that I had a bag of nitrogen fertilizer, and so after I did his lawn, I gave him free fertilizer. He had the best looking lawn on the block, and I didn't know if it's because I punched holes in it or because I fertilized it, and I didn't care. I just used my resources. So it's
You
kind
do
of a
what you
neat
have to
story.
do to
Do
impress.
what you have to
We're gonna
do. Yeah.
We're going to go to commercial break. We'll be right back. And then we want to talk about how you went from buying those houses in Stockton to getting your license and how that all happened. And we'll be right back with Greg Woehrle. Welcome back to Mastering the Art of Real Estate. We are here with Greg Woehrle, my dear friend from childhood, and we are talking about how he got into real estate, what led him into real estate. So you were in Stockton, you were a college student, and what was next? What did you do upon graduation? And how many houses did you own in Stockton when you left?
Yeah, when I was in Stockton, I actually ended up with a total of four houses. So that's all I did in Stockton, and that was enough because with a lot of fraternities and sororities comes a little bit of maintenance that you have to do on the homes when you'd come home and the dog was swimming in the hot tub, you know. So it's just that kind of stuff, you know, that yeah, and you can imagine the other party favors that were usually all over the place. So I went to, after that, I decided to own Subway sandwiches and salads at the same time I was actually doing real estate. So I bought a couple of franchises because I took my real estate to a different level. I decided I would go search for great locations, find something that was perfect, renovate it. Because I always had this dream of renovating things. I don't know why, but I always wanted to make things better. So I did Subway sandwiches and salads, and then I did my real estate career at the same time and started in Piedmont with Select Real Estate, as you mentioned in the bio. And so that was like my first introductory into real estate when I was actually working Subway sandwiches. I had an international trading company at the same time, and I was doing real estate. And the actual father of the international and company where we were renting uh, asked me if I, you know, wanted to sell his home in Piedmont. And so I jumped at the chance. He gave me the opportunity, and I went ahead and put my sign out. And I think the first open house, I double ended the deal. It was on
Wow.
Blair, and it was kind of fun. And so it gave me the real estate bug. And I was just like, oh, this is simple. Oh yeah, right. Okay, this way. I think I
Wow.
just got lucky. I just got lucky, is what really happened. Or maybe
Oh
it's
my
because I had
gosh.
open homes Saturday, Sunday, Friday. I was getting known in Piedmont as the guy. They were picking up my signs because they were out too often. So I'd have to a lot of times
Good.
go back to the city of Piedmont and collect my signs. But anyway, so I started there, and I started with the Kaiser estate that was there in on the Piedmont side of Montclair, and decided to buy a small piece of land from Bobby Kaiser, and it was a four lot. It was a four-lot subdivision. It was Bobby Kaiser's smallest real estate holding, and but she said for some reason, me and my negotiation skills were giving her her biggest headache out of all of her businesses. And so I'm not so sure I believe that, but that's what she told me. And so I started there, and I decided to. I finally bought the place from her and decided I was going to build what's called LaSalle Estates there in that area. And I started building, and then I realized that oh my gosh, the builders aren't very good. And so then I started being a self builder and owner builder. And then when it
Wow.
came to the point of selling, I had to hire somebody because I didn't know much about selling my own product and whether it was a conflict of interest and whether I could. And oh my gosh, all of a sudden, all these different things I had never thought about started coming up. And I didn't have the right insurances because you need to have builder's risk and you have to have liability. And so I
Wow.
decided, well, if I got to do all that, I might as well become a contractor and I'll just sell my own stuff. So, with getting my broker's license, I decided to get my contractor's license within a year or two, started building my own product so that I could insure it and sell it. And that's kind of how it all started. And I've just kind of evolved from there. Having a license, having the multiple licenses has just been a godsend, just because you don't have to answer to really anybody else. And as we know in real estate, no broker wants you to say anything that you don't know anything about because of the liability. And so having the license, three different licenses, I could just flip hats and just say, okay, now I'm your contractor, now I'm your broker, and now I'm your engineer. And so one stop shop. And so
So
that
you
just
have
kind of
your
evolved
engineer
from there.
you have your engineering license as well?
Yes, I have a contracting engineering license, which means I can basically build bridges. Don't use me for that, but I
Wow.
could build a bridge, they say, and I can blow things up and I can do underground stuff. And so that's what an A license does. It lets you work in the
Okay.
public right of ways, and it's engineering. It's not very easy to get either.
No,
So
I'm sure.
no, so that's so having started that way and evolving as myself being my own client and myself trying to sell my own stuff. That's kind of where the evolution, started to happen. Was I just started realizing, hey, you just need to know a little bit more. I couldn't really rely on my all my resources all the time because my contractors were either going bankrupt or had lawsuits. It was just difficult times every now and then through cycles, and so I'd end up having to take the position of the people I was employing, and that's kind of how it evolved. And I'm really happy it went that way, just because now it really provides an incredible foundation, having multiple licenses and being able to do A to Z on anything that
Right.
has to do with a piece of property. Anything. We can do anything. So it's nice.
Right. So right now that's just incredible. So you have all these licenses. So I assume you have insurance on all of these different hats that you wear. Would
Yes.
it be
Yes. I do
on?
have
And
insurance. It's a little costly, but it's worth the
I
price
can,
because I can go ahead and represent my own product. I can build my own product. I can sell my own product, and I'm licensed, bonded, and insured to do it all.
so for instance, right now, how many houses are you building? And then are you also practicing real estate buying and helping clients buy and sell full time, or and how many houses are you currently in the process of building? I mean, that's a lot
Yeah.
to manage.
Yes, and that's a kind of a yes, it is. Thank you for asking that. And it's a yes, yes, yes to just about all that. I'm doing a major subdivision that I've been hired as a consultant for down in Danville. That's 18 homes. So it's kind of like we're
Wow.
doing that. We also have a slide repair company that goes under my engineering license. So we're actually repairing slides and creating pads for people in Alamo and in Danville right now. We have two of those. We're actually lot splitting homes in the Happy Valley area and in the greater Walnut Creek and Alamo area, which means we've got subdivision work that we're doing, and there's probably two or three of those at a time. And actual builds right now, I'm just really good at preparing for a build. We don't have one right now under construction. We have a lot of major renovations under construction for ready to
Great.
sell. We have three homes right now that we're renovating in order to get ready to sell.
Nice.
One's in Piedmont, one's in Lafayette, and one's in Moraga. And
Nice.
then we have, yeah, and then we're ready. We're readying another house to sell in a very unique way. This is what's just a crazy process. Is we had somebody in Alamo come to us and say, "Okay, here's my beautiful estate. We want to sell it." And I said, "Well, what do you want to sell it for?" And they gave me a number, and I said, "Well, what about the back 40 here? You got all this land and property." I said, "Well, why are you undervaluing your property?" And they said, "What do you mean? We thought we were kind of overvaluing it." And I said, "Well, let's just SB9 lot split this thing, and you're going to have a front lot and a back lot, and your house is going to still be on this half of the lot, and we're going to sell your lot for $1 million plus, and we're going to sell your house for the same price that you thought it was worth." So that's one of the things that we're working on, which is a lot of fun to do because you actually are creating value, real value. Not just saying, "Oh, this is how many homes I sold," or "This is how much I can sell you over asking," or this is why I have the magic touch." This is like, we're land creators. So we create new parcels for people. And that is very dynamic in a high upscale real estate area like we're in, to be able to do that, because it becomes life changing for people. And it's also a way
Right.
that they can either sell their properties for a lot more money, or they create what we call their life estates, where they create second parcels for their children. And we've done that here in Lafayette, and it's very rewarding. It's a lot of
So
fun to do that.
that's amazing. So I did want to get into the SB9 because that's something that's so big right now because lack of housing and the price of housing. So I'm in the Oakland Piedmont, more dense over here, and we don't have a lot of land, and we're on hillsides, and so you're
Right.
out. He's out in a very nice area in Contra Costa, Lafayette, Orinda, Danville, Alamo, which the lots are can be much larger. So
Correct.
walk us through the SB9 on a like what you're doing for the family. So the first one
Yeah.
you just spoke about was someone was going to sell their house, and then you said you can make even more money because so with the house you just spoke about, you had the front house, then you subdivided the back
Subdivide the
and
the
then
front
sold that.
actually in this house, and well, we're in the process. So it
Okay.
took me about a year to talk with them and educate them, and we've had a great relationship. At first we were just going to SB9 it for them, and then they decided they wanted to sell, and so then that's how we're now creating more value for them. But for the kids, let me tell
But
you,
wait a
one
second.
of
Wait,
our
I'm gonna ask
first,
a
yes.
question. Let me ask. So, are you
Sure.
selling them as two separate homes, or is it two separate homes? Or are you selling the parcel with two homes on one lot?
So we'll be selling the parcel with their home on one lot, and then the actual parcel will be a new free and clear parcel that will be in the front. So you'll have two APNs. Both lots are now conveyable to two separate people. In the
Got it.
past, a lot of times people would do two properties on one lot and then had
Right.
no way to subdivide it because the subdivision restrictions. Let's just say they only had an acre of land and you needed 3 acres to subdivide. They wouldn't be able to subdivide. But because of the new SB9 laws, they've done away with all of those types of restrictions. And so long as you have a 2,500 square foot lot and you meet certain criteria, which is criteria from the state of California, you can subdivide that lot. And so to go to your question about the families, we have a family in Lafayette where they have 4 kids and they have a very large parcel, and they have their family home on one parcel, and then they have a contiguous parcel that they've owned since 2000 and have run into red tape every single time they've tried to subdivide it. The city of Lafayette has figured out how to shut them down until finally this SB9 came about in 2022, which did away with a lot of the subjective standards that Lafayette uses to decide what they're going to do with properties. And now it was just objective standards that would be applied. And so they were able to we were able to subdivide their property, and now they came up with 4 different building pads for their kids. They got 4 kids, and so
Wow.
that was not for resale. That was for family compounding, we call it. It's
Hmm.
basically, because of the cost, the entry cost into Lafayette, as you know, Debbie, none of our kids can really
Crazy.
afford this. The, the,
No.
the payments for the stuff here in these areas. So this is a way to create and keep family wealth and to start family wealth for the young kids. And there's nothing better than, getting a piece of land free and clear that you can develop now as a kid. All of a sudden you have all these opportunities for lending, and you have equity, and you have a place to build, and your next door neighbor is not going to say not in my backyard and prevent you from building.
That's
So
incredible. We
yeah,
talked about this a couple years ago when you started to work on it. So just for example, how many square feet is the main house, the parents' house, and then how many
yeah,
square feet will each of the homes be of the 4 kids about?
yeah. So the parents' house is roughly 4,500 square feet. Beautiful estate home, very nice,
Wow.
gated. And then they'll have a separate ADU for that house, which will be about 800 square feet that one of the kids can have. And then on the parcel that we created by subdividing their 8 acres into 2 4-acre parcels, they'll be able to put 2 more houses on the new parcel that's created, because you can either do a house in an ADU, you can do 2 houses, you can do a duplex. There's quite a mix that you can do, and so it just provides a canvas. Ultimately, the kids, weren't like fighting over the parcels yet, like they fight over bedrooms. They were just knowing, they just knew that the opportunity was coming,
Right.
and so I don't know exactly how it's going to pan out yet, how they're going to do it, but now they have the opportunity to do it, and
Nice.
it's beautiful. It's great. Now their kids that were thinking they had to go out of state are staying around. So
That's
and
incredible.
it is incredible. Yeah, very
So
rewarding. Like I
do you
said, to do
foresee
something
you
like
so
that.
what do you see your future? I mean, you're always ahead. I mean, you're always doing the next thing. And I mean, I come to you as an expert in all of this. I sold a lot, which finally closed after a year, and you don't even know the half of it.
Yes,
And you were right there in the beginning, and it became
yes.
the preliminary title report was misread for at least 4 times it transferred. It
Oh my
was
God.
completely not what we thought. Anyway, so I came to you on understanding the SB9. You've hosted seminars.
Yes.
Do you want to still, is that kind of a focus right now? Are you going to continue to grow that part of your business? Is it
Well,
worthwhile, or is it too time consuming? And will you take it to another area in California? What does that look like for you?
yeah, so thanks for asking that. It is very time consuming, and you do need some special skills and special knowledge. And so it's not easy. Nothing's easy, as we know in real estate. Even
Right.
the simplest transactions can be a nightmare. So it's very involved. It takes a lot of time, but I think that as time goes by and people learn and cities kind of free up some of their I want to say biases, that will remain a very special and lucrative segment of business. And so we will always probably have our hand in that. I mean, I can't imagine telling my kid to go buy a quarter-acre lot when there's a half-acre lot with way more potential, with maybe a rundown, beat-up house. But I just can't imagine advising my kid to not try to buy the largest lot possible in an area that's SB9able.
Okay.
for an investment because it's a very good investment vehicle. It maybe costs $100,000 in this area to create potentially 500 to $1 million of wealth. Now you do the
Wow.
ROI on that.
That's
It's
incredible.
unbelievable because yeah, especially when the ROI is based off of you own the property already. So
Right.
when you own the property already, what's the ROI when you don't pay anything except for 100 grand, in fees? Anyways, that we will continue to do. It's highly specialized. We're trying to perfect it, but the rules are always changing with each and every different city and county, and so I'll probably stay mostly here in this area because this is where I kind of understand it. This is where I know the
Mhm.
people. I've been involved in development for 35 years in this area, so I can use a little bit of my knowledge and references and just people that I know in this business in this area. So I'll probably stick around here to answer your question there,
Right.
but politely help and jump in anywhere I can if people need help anywhere in other areas and provide my insight. I have an excellent land use attorney that's been helping to develop our systems for SB9. And it's just really helpful that we already have the resources and the tools. And so, what everybody has to know if you're going to try to SB9, be ready to hear no, 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 and be ready to be rejected from the city and the counties. You just have to keep going. Be that
Right.
ever ready bunny that they just want to get off their desk. So,
Absolutely. And what in your
yeah,
case, you seem to know more than they do, so that helps.
it does help, but you gotta make sure you don't look like a know-it-all because they can't
I
stand
know.
that. I know.
Right.
So right, you gotta. I'll tell you one of the biggest secrets I have learned in public offices and doing development or doing any type of business or real estate. You always want to make it the other person's idea.
Right.
Always somehow make them feel like they came up with the golden nugget that you're using. And I'll tell
Right.
you, when you do that, you get a lot more help and a lot less resistance. And so that's one of those things that I'm trying to teach my kids. I'm sure you're trying to
Right.
teach Chase as I'm trying to teach Samantha.
Yes. Right.
It's like, let people feel good about the process you're doing and let them get on board. And then they start to sell the stuff that you were selling to them before. And it just makes things a lot easier.
It's
So,
very true. It's
yeah.
very true. We're going to go to commercial break. We'll be right back with Greg Worley. Welcome back to Mastering the Art of Real Estate. We are here with Greg Worley out of Lafayette, California, one of my dearest friends from childhood. So happy to have you on
Hello.
today. Hello.
So happy to
So,
be here. So happy to be here. You're one of the
so,
best. You are the best.
oh, oh. You're so sweet. Well, we just have a mutual admiration society between the two.
Yeah,
So I have lots of basic questions, and I don't want to go there because you're not your typical real estate agent. So I want to talk about how you, because you hold many licenses and do a lot more than the average real estate agent, just by virtue of holding those licenses and having those experiences with engineering and
yes.
contracting, and really being tied to the cities and the counties that you work with. So how does Greg Woehrle go about getting new clients? What are the ways you find your clients as you're
Yeah,
getting, doing your thing?
sure. Besides the standard of getting my daughter to
Yeah.
work with me and my wife, and getting on the social media platforms and all that stuff I
Right.
can't figure out how to do. Um, but they do great at that. But I have a little bit different style, is because I'm out in many different, I guess, working environments every single day. I could be on a construction site, I could be on a landslide, I could be on a subdivision, I could be actually doing a renovation, or I could be doing a remodel, or I could just be helping somebody who says they have mold, and I just decided to go over there and try to help them out and figure out what to do. It's just all these different fingers are already out there, and it's like from each one, you never know what's going to happen. So the person who has mold might have the mom that wants to move to Rossmore in our area, and it's interesting if we just strike up the conversations and just learn and get to know a little bit more about each and every one of those clients. You can pick up on the clues and cues that basically say, aha, they got a mom that's got a house in Piedmont and they want to move to Rossmore. And we're experts in Rossmore as well. And we love to move people. And so all of a sudden, the mold call came, a listing in Piedmont, and then it became a sale in Rossmore. And so
Nice.
we're all about packaging. We like to get two for ones. And so we like to either get a listing and a contracting job. So when the people say, hey, well, you want to list my house? And we tell them all the great reasons why we should list their house. And then we tell them, and by the way, we're going to renovate it for you. And then they'll say, oh, we have a contractor, or we have a handyman. I said, no, no, if you want us to list the house, we're going to renovate it for you, and we're going to help you do all these things. And then we're going to sell it. And by the way, where are you going? Do you need to move somewhere? They say, oh, we're going out of state. We say, oh, no problem. Well, we have a network out of state, and we'll hook you up with a real estate agent out of state. So we try to use every single one of those landing points or those connections
Nice.
as our actual, that's kind of our multiple listing service, is all the services we do. We're our own
Great.
multiple listing service in a way. And so it's kind of, it's a lot to manage, but it's surprising how often you, just by striking up a conversation, a landslide turns into a new parcel in SB9, a new pad for a new buyer, and now we're out trying to find a new buyer for the pad that we created. And so it just all becomes interconnected. And the more you understand and realize that, and the more stuff you're just into, and I'm not talking just like the stuff like, oh, I'm going to a mixer, or I'm going to
Right. Oh,
a marketing meeting. I'm talking about you need to go out and do kind of some real stuff and somehow get involved. And whether that's with your contractors, or whether it's your stagers, or whoever you're associating with, it's amazing how many different ways you can bring clients in outside of what the standard cold call or standard, I got to post and I got to hope somebody calls or rings the phone. The more you're out there, the more it just seems like business just rolls in. We don't know where it came. Sometimes we don't even know where it came from. I think
absolutely.
I,
And
so,
I would say what I hear is, because I know people have asked me in the past, why do you do that? What do you get? You're not getting paid for that. And I would always say, because it makes me feel good, and you never know where it's going to come from. And Adam, my husband, calls it fairy dust. You're out there sprinkling fairy
yes,
dust. And what you're doing is it's the same. You might not be fairy dust, but you're out there helping people. And
yes,
you went to help the person with the mold because you have that knowledge, you have that skill, you have that know-how, so you can go and help that person. And then just by listening, like you said, to the cues, other things came from that. So you do a lot
Yes.
of that. I don't even know how you, because you have so much knowledge and you're able to help so many people who call on you, like myself.
Yeah.
It's just, and so the business, it might not be a direct correlation, but it does come from somewhere else. I know when we were selling the lot, I sent your name out to many people and said, call Greg because he can build the house. I'm not going
Yes.
to, so it's just really wonderful that you're able to do that. So the second point is also that keep learning. People should keep learning and investing in their career so they can help their clients. They don't necessarily have to be moving now, but as you help them, who knows what's going to happen down the road, or who knows who they'll refer to you because you were just offering your
Right.
assistance.
Right. And we have some fabulous tools and resources that I don't think well, I mean, I know half the agents aren't even using them. But I know there's this little thing that came out. I think it's called AI. AI. Yep. Some people are starting to learn about that and trying to understand it. A great example, I'm a financial wizard, but I was sitting in front of my client yesterday, and my client was hitting me with, uh, okay, I want this condo, I want this interest rate, and I want this
Oh,
term,
wow.
and I want blah, 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 blah. And so I got my iPhone out, and I'm just sitting there plugging into Chat GPT every single time, and I just go, okay, that's
Wow.
$1,749.32 interest payment. And then he'd ask me something else, and I just kept going. I just said, just a minute. And they'll wait if you give them the right answer, and you hope that the AI is giving you the right answer. But I've been checking the AI, and it's pretty darn good. They've got a lot of
That's
resources there. So
wow.
so yeah. So I guess where I was kind of going with that is that as an agent, you just truly have so many different resources, but you got to invest in yourself, like you said, Debbie.
Right.
You got to put in the work and invest in yourself and do something that makes you different. And it's not so you stand out really with other people. It's so that you have the confidence to walk
Right.
into a room and tell people what to do that are either younger than you, older than you, more experienced. I do professional athletes. I have CFOs, CIOs, whatever you want to call them. But we have all kinds of people that we can that have confidence in us because we not only use our resources, we not only invest in ourselves, but we're not afraid to use it because we've empowered ourselves. And that's like one of the things that has always scared my daughter, who's 28 tomorrow. And I try to get her to learn that it's okay to make mistakes, just so long as you can act as if you don't know the answer, you're going to get it. And what you're going to get is going to be right. And so that's really important, I think, for agents. This
Right.
era is to use these new technologies and don't act as if you don't know if they're right or wrong. You do the
Right.
research and you back it up. And if for heaven help us if it is wrong, you make it right. And so long as you make it right, you're going to be okay.
Right.
So
I
so
always tell
so
my newer agents, like we tell our kids now in the business, it's, you can say, I'll get right back to you. You don't have to know
right.
everything. You can say, let me get right back to you. And when someone says, I don't know, and then just leaves it at that, that to me says, I don't care. All you have to do as a new agent is, or an agent who doesn't know, maybe you're a seasoned agent and you still don't know. I'm sure there's many things that I don't know, and if it's an SB9, I'm going right to Greg. But you just say,
That's a really good point.
I
That's
don't
a really
know,
good
I'll
point.
get right back to you. And then you call your broker, you call whatever, and you get the answer, and you call back and you deliver the information. Not only does that you look so good to your client, but you feel so confident because you just got the answer and now you know it and you just learned. So I think that is, yeah,
Yes.
one of the most important lessons in real estate.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And you guys know real estate over there in Piedmont, that's for sure. And just like you come to me for SB9, I come to you guys for Piedmont. Even though I grew up in Piedmont,
Right.
I know because you have done the work, you've put in the time, and you have developed those resources and those skills like no other. I know because if I just say your name in that community, it's just like bam. They're like, oh, well, if she said it, then that's what it is. so, so, so that's how I use you as my resource. And when somebody questions
Thank
me,
you.
I say, well, Debbie said. So you should have a call. You should have a
Oh,
column. Debbie said.
you're right. Oh my gosh, it's fun.
Yeah.
It is so fun. So tell me about how you leverage your network, your colleagues for to find success in your own business and how important that is. Because we know it's so important to be really connected like we are as friends and colleagues, and we aren't competitors. We're absolutely colleagues, and um, we
Yes.
collaborate. And
Yes. Well, once you learn that you can't do it all on your own, that's when it's really becomes an awakening. And reaching out to whoever it is, whether it's another builder. So I have a building company, but I reach out to other builders and I collaborate with those builders. I ask them, hey, what's your pricing? Hey, what are you doing? Hey, can you do me a favor? I can't get this done. Can you send your crew over to help me out? I mean, it's
nice.
unbelievable when you can reciprocate to people and you create this interoperability between companies, and you stop looking at each other as competitors. You start looking at each other as resources. And I think that's been one of the greatest assets that I have is I'm not afraid to go ask somebody else for help. When somebody is like, well, they're your competitor. Why would you even do that? And I'm just
I
like,
know.
well, you don't understand. I need the help. These guys are good. I like them, and they'll do something for me later. You don't always have to get every crumb off the table. Spread it around. And that's, I think, because I always want to help and I always do help. And a lot of times, like you said, Debbie, earlier, you do a lot of things for free. And you know what? You do a lot of things for free. I do a lot of things for free. The most successful people are usually getting asked all the time why they do so much for free. And we all know that everybody needs something. And we have a great, I want to say that we're looking to make sure that we're not only grateful,
Hmm.
but we're sharing the wealth of what we're doing with everybody else. And when we do that, it just seems to come back to us tenfold. And so when you ask me,
Absolutely.
what am I doing? Yeah, what am I doing with my resources? I'm usually helping them and I'm not
Hmm.
charging them.
Yep.
And then that's the way they refer people to me. And it's just, don't always ask for a buck. Don't always, that's my deal is, you don't always have to get paid. You'll get paid
Yep.
differently. And
Absolutely.
so,
I
yeah.
love it. So,
So,
okay, I just said when you said the word grateful. So, Greg, let's go over to there. So, Greg and I, we discovered that we both get up very early in the morning. So,
yes.
I noticed with
I
a
was up
lot.
at 3
So,
this morning.
me too. So, which is nice. So you have someone if you need to, if we at that time we do like to be private in our own head, doing our own, and we're going to
Correct.
go through, we'll go through what you do, what your morning routine is. But I do notice over the last year and a half of interviewing all top professionals and coaches, one of their thing is they all get up early. They all have a really strong morning routine. I think only one person who liked to sleep in and didn't have a morning routine, but everyone pretty much every successful person has a strong personal morning routine, and gratitude is part of that. So I know once I
Yes.
went along, you were getting up one morning and you were in Lake Tahoe on a beautiful walk. So I have that vision of Lake Tahoe and your morning routine because we were both
Yes.
up very early. But give us
Yes,
your
we
morning
were.
routine. Give us your morning
Yeah.
routine. I love it.
Okay. Well, here's the secret to the morning routine: go to bed early.
Yes.
So, my morning routine starts with getting in bed. A lot of times, my kids are going, what do you mean? It's 8:45. It's 9 o'clock. Come sit and watch a show. And this happened for many, many, many years, like 10, 15 years. And they finally now get it. When they see dad going up and leaving, they know I'm going to bed early so I can get up
Yeah.
early. And early doesn't have to be 3 a.m. like it was this morning. I just had something pressing on my mind. I couldn't get it off. And sometimes you just got to get up. So usually around 4:40, 5 o'clock. And my morning routine, I get up, I drink the protein drink or the energy drink, and I go to the gym that's 7 minutes away. And that's where I double task. That's where I get on the bike and I start cycling and texting or emailing or reading or podcasting I try to do something very positive every single morning before I start my workout, and that is I say my water words. I have a cup of water and I speak nicely and gently to the water. I tell it that, Woehrle is wealth, Woehrle is security, it's abundance,
I
all
love
of
it.
this to make me happy, healthy, and free. And I kiss the water and drink it down and act like, oh my gosh, that's the fairy dust we use with the Woehrles. If
Oh,
you
I
guys use
love
the,
that.
yeah. So I do that. I work out for sometimes an hour, sometimes three, sometimes five, because I'm double tasking. I'm one of those guys that you sometimes have to tap on the shoulder on the machine and go, are you done? Are you done? What are you doing? but but anyways, I do that, and then I have my protein shake, a banana, and I try not to leave. I try to come up with three things that I'm going to accomplish every day, and I try not to go to bed I try to go to bed with accomplishing all of those every day. And if I don't, I put it on number one as the list for the next day. And I have found that I'm really good at preaching this, not very good at doing it, but really good at preaching it. And I know I have to get better at that. But so long as you know what you should do and you attempt to do it, even if you get one thing done, I use that kind of as my ritual is in
Chase
the morning.
DiMaggio beta or Chase beta.
Oh. I heard that. That's
Chase
your
DiMaggio
son.
about it. That's my son calling. He doesn't remember that my podcast is from 11 to 12.
Of course not. Of course, that's great though. That's why we love our kids. Um, but anyway, the morning routine, and that's I try to handle the most difficult things in the morning. That's when I think best. And
Hmm.
I will tell you, I am just no good if I don't get my morning workout in and have my morning time. It's a different day for me. In fact, I
Right.
just feel different physically. I feel different mentally, and it's probably an addiction I have. But
Hmm.
it just is what it is. And those morning. What's your morning routine, real fast?
Yeah, it's headset goes on. Adam is sleeping, and I love to put my headset on and just be. I love having it because it really locks me in, and it's the same
Yeah,
with a podcast. I like to be locked in, and so I'm listening to some affirmations on YouTube. Then there's a meditation that I listen to on YouTube, and so that's kind of
beautiful.
that's on my phone. And then when I'm go upstairs to the loft, I'll listen in my headsets to the TV. So it's still right here and it will be on the screen. So whether it's the meditation or the affirmations, and then I really just try to do that. And then to say my own, what I'm grateful for. I love to do that. And I tend to go long on this because I move so fast throughout the day that I mean, I'll do it for
Yes.
hours. And then if Adam gets up too early, I'll say, and I'll like quiet time still.
Yeah.
Yes, no talking. So we
No
were at a
talking.
conference. We were at a conference the other day, and we're in the same room, and I'm like, "There's no upstairs room. Zip it." Like I'm
Yeah.
outside, early morning outside. We were in Scottsdale. It was so beautiful. I was listening to the birds chirping, and I was outside on the deck, and I'm like, "Don't talk to me. I'm still in
Yeah.
my morning." But it's so
Yeah.
important to me to have that morning time and to drink
Yes.
water and to take my vitamins. I've gotten better about doing that, and calcium
Yes.
for women especially, and coffee. And then I'm trying to make my own green juice. We were in Mexico and they had the best green
Awesome.
juice, and it wasn't awful. So many green juices are awful, especially the ones you buy in the store. And so I started making my own, and they taste good, and I'm getting vitamins in because I'm really bad at eating fruits and vegetables. So I
Please,
think
please share.
doing
Please
I
share
will.
that
I
with me.
will.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Thank
will.
you.
I'll
I
give it to
need
you. It
that. I
tastes
need
good,
that.
and it has all the healthy stuff, and there's no thickeners. There's no yogurt or anything. It's just all vegetables, and it's amazing how it's so jam packed. So that's really good. And then eventually I'll let Adam talk, and I'll let him give it. But I love my morning routine. And then I don't, I try not to look at text messages at all during that
Yes.
couple hour period.
Smart.
Um, Yeah. So it
Yeah,
is
you
a
need
very
that time.
important time. I just love to be in my own head and my own visual and just, but not bothered by anything. So, and I love,
Yeah.
and I keep hearing this about the three things. So I jotted it down, the three things per day. That comes up a lot. So before you go to bed, I love that. And yes, going to bed early is the most important thing because you can't rock
Yeah.
it the next day. And so
No.
we are almost done, but it just hit 12. Can you give me one piece of advice? My new book I'm writing. I wasn't going to write a new book, but I am, and it's called. Working title is from the locker room to the boardroom. How an athlete and a CEO find success. So anything, because you're an athlete, you're a water polo player and swim team. Any tips from an athlete to how you found success in real estate?
Yes, actually, that's great, Debbie. Congratulations. Your books are amazing. Thank you. Keep doing that. You keep all of us on our toes by doing that. So we thank you, all of us in this community. I
Thank you.
would say as a athlete, you just have to act like life is a game every time you get up, and you never know what the playing field's going to be. And so if
Right.
you always are trying to play basketball and you've got a soccer field that day, you're going to have some issues. So be adaptable, be a
Love it.
chameleon, be somebody that can play every single sport on any different playing field.
So great. Oh, I love it. That
Yeah.
is awesome. You're going to write one of my testimonials in the book. So I love that. That is so great.
Perfect. I
Greg,
can't
how
wait.
how do our guests get a hold of you?
Yeah, sure. You can call me or text me. Text me is best at 925 212 8771, or you can email me at Greg at Woehrle. You'll never know how to spell it. So it's
No.
WOEHRLE realestate.com. And that's how you can
Awesome.
get a hold of me. And
And
or find me on probably AI. AI will find me.
awesome. I love that. I know I asked it a question for me and it pulled me up. So we won't go into
Yeah.
that. Thank you, Greg
No.
Worley. This was
Yeah, you're welcome.
incredible. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Debbie,
And
for all you do. And your
thank
podcast
you.
is unbelievable. Love it. And I'd love to come
Thank
back
you.
another time.
Absolutely. 100%.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Tune in each week for another episode of Mastering the Art of Real Estate with host Debbi DiMaggio. Here Fridays, noon Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network. Tune in to where real estate matters matter.